Good morning everyone, welcome to an episode of the Mizuho Week Ahead. I'm Boon Heng, market economist at Mizuho Bank. This week's theme is Inflation Threats or Inflated Relief. With US and Iran contemplating a one-page memorandum of understanding last week, risk sentiments picked up as Brent crude prices slipped to around $100 per barrel. Markets also appear to be relying on pressure from China to contain any escalation from the Iranian front. That said, attacks between Iran and US forces towards the end of last week gave markets a reminder that securing peaceful passage is far from easy. Meanwhile, Fed officials continue to point out uncertainties over their next move as they reiterate the need to remove an easing bias. This is especially so after last Friday. US NFP outperformed expectations as hiring rose 115K and the unemployment rate was steady at 4.3%. The aggregate figures reflected resilience from the shock of soaring energy prices as well as supply chain disruptions. In Asia, April CPI prints last week revealed the impact of the energy price shock and led to widespread fears of worsening inflation outlooks. The Philippines, which has relatively flexible energy prices, saw one of the sharpest spikes, with headline inflation soaring to 7.2% year-on-year, with food inflation also rearing its ugly head. The policy implication from inflation risk is unmistakable, with the BSP highlighting that they stand ready to act as needed amid observations of acceleration in services inflation. That said, with Q1 GDP growth in the Philippines being rather dismal, calls for outsized tightening may face a relook, especially if private consumption continues to slow. Similarly, Vietnam's headline inflation rose to 5.5% year-on-year. Supply chain disruptions fed into higher costs of raw materials, labor, and transportation, leading to broad-based inflation in categories ranging from apparels to appliances, on top of the expected higher airfares and fuel prices. In Thailand, headline inflation in April surged to 2.9% year-on-year, from negative 0.1% year-on-year in March, with food inflation at 1.1% month-on-month as prepared food items saw higher cost pass-through, while fresh produce such as eggs and chicken were affected by extreme hot weather and costlier feed. In Malaysia, the Bank Negara Malaysia last week stood pat, with inflation remaining managed, even as they highlight vigilance on growth and inflation risks. Down under, the RBA hiked rates by 25 basis points last week as expected. This increase marked the full reversal of their easing in 2025 and puts them in a slightly restrictive stance, with the statement emphasizing on their 3 hikes and hints at a marginal preference for a June pause. That said, with Bullock refuting the characterization of a wait-and-see mode during her press conference, it implies that a June hike is not off the table, even though it is not our base case at this point. In FX, the rupiah was a sharp underperformer. The authorities undertook a slew of stabilization actions, ranging from limits on dollar purchases to buying of government bonds on secondary markets. These measures for the rupiah are likely to provide modest and temporary backstop, as structural issues remain unresolved. Looking ahead, the upcoming budget in Australia this week could potentially exacerbate the RBA's excess demand fears, as the Treasury is set to unveil an improved fiscal outlook on the back of revenue tailwinds enabled by robust domestic demand and the recent commodity price surge. EM Asia FX, though, will remain on tenterhooks, especially after US President Trump rejected Iran's response to their proposal. Trump has called Iran's proposal over the weekend as totally unacceptable, saying that he does not like it. The main point of contention continues to be around uranium stockpile. Israel Prime Minister has stated that the war is not over because of nuclear material that needs to be removed, and this is another reminder that the differences will continue to hamper progress in negotiations. Hostilities are far from being over, with reports of commercial ships being hit by drones over the weekend and drones appearing in UAE and Kuwait airspace. All in, while markets attempt to take comfort with the ceasefire and partial passage of LNG tankers, simmering inflation threats from the energy price shock may instead be the growing risk. For more information, please refer to our week ahead publication or contact your respective sales desk and RMs. And for regular notification on our market views, please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification button. Thank you.